When we produce something in Dominican Republic, we will have the same training procedures. We will have the same work instructions. We will have the same quality management system. We will have the same end-line inspection and in-process inspection. We'll have the same laboratory testing. So really, it's no different than an intra-plant transfer. You know, if we were transferring between Louisville and Kansas.
Welcome to another episode of Inspiring Innovation. We're really excited to have our guest today. He's, I think this is technically like the fourth episode that we've had Brian Weber on. So we're excited to have him here today to talk about a really new, exciting initiative at Polo Custom Products that we'll dive into. But as you know, our show is for project engineers, buyers, sourcing people, anyone looking to launch a product for their OEM and looking for a great strategic partner to scale with. And Polo just keeps expanding capacity. And we are excited today to have Brian Weber on, who's our Chief Operating Officer and somebody who really lives out the values of our company. He's the person that make sure that we do design, engineer, and manufacture at scale, and that we deliver to what we're saying we're going to do, and that really turns strategy into execution. And this episode, this topic is a great example of how he's been able to do that, and how our company has undergone a major initiative to expand into the Dominican Republic. And this was a long time in the works. Brian Weber is almost a dual citizen in the Dominican Republic right now. He's got many contacts down there and has been all over the island. So, after a comprehensive 15-month feasibility study, what was kind of the specific aha moment for you, Brian, when the market signal told you, hey, we need to be in the Dominican Republic, and it's the right move for Polo's future?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sean. We have been looking at this for quite a while, as you mentioned, not just the 15-month feasibility study, but for years we've looked at the possibility of having our own manufacturing facility somewhere offshore in a low-cost manufacturing country. It's not something we would jump into hastily. If you know Polo, you know that we are a very careful and calculated company. You don't take a tremendous amount of risk. It's why we're still around after 75 plus years, coming up on 80 years. But I think the first time I was down there visiting the first group of free zones we identified as potential, I happened to get back late from a long day of traveling and visiting multiple free zones, and I was already very excited about what I saw. And I happened to turn on the TV in my hotel room, and CNN came up, and the first story that came on was a story about how medtech manufacturing is moving to the Dominican Republic, and there's record growth, and named all sorts of companies that were our OEM customers. And I guess that was my aha moment. It certainly didn't make me think we were barking up the wrong tree. So there wasn't really any one thing, but that was something that solidified that we're moving in the right direction. And then it was just continuing to do everything we needed to do to ensure that the Dominican Republic was the right country, that we chose the right location within the Dominican Republic, and that we believed what we could do down there would provide the same quality that our domestic plants have been producing for many years.
So it's been obviously a very tumultuous time globally from a macro level. I think there's a lot of people that have been doing analysis, especially when it came to tariffs and geopolitical events, on where they are determining to manufacture their products. And so there's never been a time where there's more data available at people's fingertips. How nice is it for Polo to have that redundancy across all of our locations between Iowa, Kansas, Mississippi, and now the DR? And how does that change a conversation when a customer asks us about business continuity and risk management.
Yeah, it's interesting that Polo has such redundancy. I mean, typically you might have one other option, but Polo has, as you mentioned, multiple. And there's the old saying, 2 is 1, 1 is none. We have 3 plants in the Midwest, and they all have similar capabilities. And then now we're going to be opening in Dominican Republic. We'll have all those same capabilities and hopefully more as we grow. To our OEM customers, that should be very attractive because it is a time of uncertainty. Whether you're talking about tariffs, whether you're talking about some of the political and conflicts that are going on around the world. Here today in Iowa, there's some storms rolling through with some severe weather. And, no matter where you are in the world, you always have to deal with severe weather, natural disasters. And luckily, I'll knock on wood here, in the 75, 80 years that we've been in business, that's never impacted us. But it always could, and it's always something that we have to plan for. We have redundancy plans and continuity plans in place. So when we talk to our customers and explain to them that if we're making a product in Iowa and whether they get a huge contract and they need some surge capacity, or whether there's some sort of a natural disaster, God forbid, a tornado or a fire or something like that, we can quickly and easily move the product to another facility, obviously with their support and they're okay. So I hope that our customers see it as much of a benefit as we do because, business continuity is important. And being able to fill your customers' orders, the end customers' orders is important, particularly with some of the products that we manufacture that are life-saving or necessary for certain things to happen. I hope that our customers see it as a benefit.
We've been talking about timeline with customers recently and, the goal of shipping out a product by December of this year in 2026. And so, we've been joking around that would be a great time for customers to come down and visit. We can get down there in December when it's nice and cold in the Midwest or the East or West Coast where a lot of our customers are. So I think there's a lot of interest in those visits coming up here. So,
well, we hope, one of the things is Polo's had a great track record of if we're able to get a prospective customer to one of our manufacturing facilities, that usually seals the deal. I think they like what they see. I think they're typically impressed. We try to solicit feedback from them either, before they leave or immediately after, because that's part of our continuous improvement mindset. If there's something that they saw that was concerning, we certainly want to address it. But that's typically not the case. I think normally they come, they visit us, and it gives them confidence that, Polo is the company that we want to do business with. So when you're trying to convince a customer to come to Vietnam or Cambodia or China or Mexico is a little more difficult. There's not the draw of, hey, come visit the factory and then, bring your significant other or your family and, stay through the weekend, enjoy everything that Dominican Republic has to offer. Now, where we are locating our facility is certainly not, a beachfront property. But the interesting thing is we happened to choose the location that was right halfway between the capital of Santo Domingo and what is a paradise of Punta Cana. So if anybody's ever been to Dominican Republic and knows Punta Cana, that's certainly not a manufacturing mecca, but it's within about an hour, 20-minute drive of our facility. So hopefully that is attractive to some people and we'll get them down there.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can make a great weekend out of that. And we joke, but it will be really nice to be in the Caribbean. When we're talking about, our import partners abroad, we'll still have partnerships with our Southeast Asia manufacturers. Can you talk about an opportunity that we have to work with them and have our own facility in the DR? I mean, there's the nearshore proximity advantage, but specifically, how will staying in this time zone and being more responsive to our customers, but also having those facilities on the other side of the world lend well for Polo? Yeah,
that's a great topic for discussion, and we could go on for hours about it. But, to hit the high points, we have great relationships in China and Vietnam, great suppliers. We've been doing business there for 40 some years. Most people may not realize that the majority of of materials, particularly when you're talking about textiles and plastics, are made in China. So those materials still those raw materials begin in China. We can import them into Dominican Republic because we're located in a free zone, tax-free. We can transform them and then ship them back out tax-free for the most part. There's some uncertainty right now globally about import taxes that would affect everybody. Mm-hmm. But the Dominican Republic is under the CAFTA-DR free trade agreement. Okay. So not knowing what's going to happen with these tariffs that came about after the Emergency Powers Act was struck down by the Supreme Court, we're not sure exactly how that'll work. But by the time we open, those should have ended. So hopefully we'll have some tax-free coming into the U.S., but certainly as materials leave China and come into our facility in the DR, there will be no taxation on those materials. And we can also have subassemblies made in China. So, for instance, a lot of our product is thermoformed. So we take an EVA foam and we laminate material to the inside and the outside, and then we form that into a usable shape. Well, the majority of the EVA foam is made in China. So we could have that foam laminated, formed, and then cut, and then shipped. Now we're only shipping the component that we need. We're not shipping the excess material that would be cut away in the forming and cutting processes. So we'd minimize the transportation costs, and then we can utilize them as we manufacture the product in the DR and transform the product so that it becomes a product of the Dominican Republic rather than a product of China. So we will need those relationships. We will keep working on them. I'm going to be in China here in a few weeks, visiting those key suppliers, also visiting with a customer that's over there, visiting some of his suppliers. So I see it as a win-win. We're not leaving Southeast Asia altogether. We'll still have a number of tier 1 suppliers and all sorts of tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers, but we'll just be able to offer our customers more manufacturing solutions that work for them.
Yeah, I mean, we could have continuity of supply of the materials that we're already sourcing from that area and then produce in the DR. And didn't you say, I think I heard you tell a customer once that they have a significant amount of shipping lanes into Europe as well from the DR. Was that accurate?
Absolutely. I didn't realize it until I visited. Part of my feasibility was to visit some of the ports. There's quite a few ports in the Dominican Republic, and we are going to be in close proximity to the two major cargo ports. That is the 𝐂𝐡𝐷 port and the 𝐻𝐨𝐼𝐻 port in and around the Santo Domingo area. And I didn't realize that a lot of freight that comes from Europe, stops in the Dominican Republic. It's really a logistics hub. And so that should be very helpful. There's a lot of lanes going to Europe. There's a lot of lanes going to North America, Central America, and obviously material coming from Southeast Asia still. So yeah, it couldn't have worked out better from a logistics standpoint. We're excited about that. It just adds to the benefit of doing business in Dominican Republic.
I guess a common concern that people have with offshore expansion is quality. You've committed to the same QMS, ISO certs, FDA certs as our domestic plan or our domestic plants. How are we ensuring that the product coming off the line in San Pedro de Marquis is indistinguishable from ones made in Topeka, Mississippi, or Iowa?
Yeah.
But before we get into that, this podcast is brought to you by Polo Custom Products. We are a custom manufacturer that specializes in sewing, sealing, and thermoforming. We work with project engineers, sourcing professionals, and buyers to design, engineer, and manufacture products that cannot afford to fail. If you're interested in working with us, visit our website at www.polocustomproducts.com and fill out a request for quote form. Now, back to the show.
That is true. We are going to have the same certifications. The plant will be ISO 9001 and 13485 certified. It'll be FDA registered. We'll be using the same machinery. So we're going to use the same manufacturers for the sewing and sealing equipment. We have long-standing relationships with those suppliers. We know how those machines work. We have high confidence in them. When we produce something in Dominican Republic, we will have the same training procedures. We will have the same work instructions. We will have the same quality management system. We will have the same end-line inspection and in-process inspection. We'll have the same laboratory testing. So really, it's no different than intra-plant transfer, if we were transferring between Louisville and Kansas, or even, I may be taking this to an extreme, but I don't see a much difference as if we were moving the line from one side of our domestic plant to the other side of the domestic plant. I mean, you're moving equipment and you're probably training up new people. We do that all the time, and we never have any problems. So, I have high confidence that we will hit the ground running. And another reason why we chose Dominican Republic is they have a track record of high quality. They do a lot of med tech manufacturing there, which is highly regulated. The workforce is highly skilled, highly educated. The average age for a worker in the free zone parks is 27 years old. There's a program through Infotep that does a lot of training. It's part of the free zone setup. So we'll have that training available to us. I'm excited about it. I think we will have just as capable workforce, and we'll have just as capable management staff, and we'll have all the same quality systems in place. So I don't foresee any issues.
I was talking to a manufacturer rep agency that we're looking to hire in the Southeast, and we were telling him about our move to the DR, and he said his comment was, "Oh, that's a great move. They have such a great workforce available down there." And so, answering that testament, I think there is a great reputation of hardworking, motivated, engaged associates down there. So that is exciting to hear, and to have outside verification of that, even though we've heard it many times from many sources. So when we are looking at how we move products there, I like the idea that you've mentioned and executed before with partners, is kind of the crawl, walk, run approach, where we are launching products domestically. They may be getting market feedback or starting in smaller markets. And then once we start scaling, we start moving down to the DR once they're validated. And we've had, people come and train with our associates, with our engineering staff to really get a nice staged approach and clean transfers when we get to a point of high volume and get more of our labor intensive products to market. So can you expand a little bit more on that, on what value that approach could bring for our customers?
Go back 20 years ago when we were really starting to see a significant uptick in the amount of business that we were doing in China. There were a number of products and opportunities that just weren't a good fit for China. At that time, it was the higher volume, higher labor percentage products. I think the same will hold true for the Dominican Republic. We are moving into a 35,000 square foot building. We're going to make great use of that space, but it's not 100,000 square foot like we have in Louisville. So we have to be careful early on about what we move down there. We have to be selective. We have to make sure it makes sense. And so we were going to be looking at what's the annual order, quantity and the volumes, the consistency. Is it on off, or is it a consistent running product? What's the labor content? If it's really material heavy, there's not going to be as much of a benefit to producing in Dominican Republic. There's still going to be some, but we're going to look at those products where it really makes sense and our customers really see the benefit of the Dominican Republic. What we don't want it to do is have it to cannibalize our domestic facilities. We think that at all of our domestic facilities, we offer low-cost manufacturing for U.S. manufacturing, at least, it's low cost. We're in Monticello, Iowa. We're in Louisville, Mississippi. That's going to be the criteria, but down the road, who knows where that's going to take us, what we're going to be producing. It certainly evolved over 20 years, in China, where we could do lower volume things. We could do more material heavy products. But right now, at least in the first few years, we're going to be a little selective, and we'll work with our customers and be very transparent about what makes sense, what doesn't. To your point of, we've already have some experience in this. Without naming names, we did develop a product with our customer, kind of a joint development. They launched their product, and it grew pretty rapidly, and so we quickly expanded. Iowa and Mississippi, we were making the product, and then we expanded to Dominican Republic. At that time, we were working with a manufacturing partner down there, and we were able to move product down there very quickly, scale up, and offer them a price advantage as the volumes went up and up and up. And we did that for a number of years. It was very successful. And then automation kind of took over because the volumes were getting, high enough where automation made sense. So that's the crawl, walk, run mentality. We talk about that mentality for a lot of things, but with respect to manufacturing and scaling up, and you're right, if customers has an idea and we help them develop it and they launch it, typically within the first 18 months of being on the market, there's voice of customer concerns that they realize, hey, we need to make this adjustment. We need to make this adjustment. So there is a benefit to producing at a smaller scale at one of our domestic plants. And then once the design is finalized, nailed down, all the validation's done, we're running steady state, then we can move it down there and really see some benefit. So I'm excited to offer that.
We're not just scaling down there. I think we're excited to be talking about adding another specialized capability, and that's adding a clean room for class 1, 2, 3 and medical devices. How does this move position Polo to better serve medical customers and even some of our aviation and aerospace customers in the future?
A lot of our OEM customers have a presence down in Dominican Republic already, and we're already producing products that we're shipping to the Dominican Republic, our customers at the Dominican Republic. So there's that, and again, that's tax-free if we're shipping within the trade zones, and that customer happens to be in one of the free trade zones that we visited and considered as a location. With the addition of a clean room, which is something that we've never offered, but always had the option of, and had a plan to be able to implement at our domestic facilities. We're going to start out down there with a clean room, and that will offer, some additional capability that we don't have. Now, in the past, what I've found is some of our customers feel like their product needs to be made in a clean room because it historically has been by other manufacturers, contract manufacturers. But in reality, there's no real requirement. And our facilities, even when we're not working in a clean room, are very clean and sanitary. And we take steps to ensure that we don't have problems with particulate, we don't have problems with bioburden, and we do testing. We make a lot of products that actually go into the human body, and they're not made in a clean room. But for those products that need to be made in a clean room by some sort of requirement, some sort of spec, then we're going to have that option, and we just need to make sure that we have plenty of room. So, and if we have to add on more clean room space, we'll do that.
Yeah, we're really excited about adding that, and I think one of the misconceptions is that offshore expansion means domestic reduction. And can you explain how moving some of our labor-intensive or China-based production actually strengthens our U.S. plants and allows our domestic teams to focus on what they do best?
What's the old saying? A rising tide lifts all ships, right? Yeah. So manufacturing offshore has been part of our DNA, and historically, at least for the past 25 years, anywhere between 25 and 35% of our annual sales volume have come from offshore manufacturing, mostly up till now from China. And during that time, we've grown significantly domestically. You go back 27 years ago, you go back to 1999, we had one manufacturing plant. It was in Monticello, Iowa. So in the past 26 years, we've added on to the Monticello, Iowa facility, added space. We've opened a plant in 105,000 square foot plant in Mississippi, and we've opened a 20,000 square foot facility in Kansas, and are now expanding that Kansas plant to add another 35,000 square feet. While at the same time, we've been growing our offshore business. Yeah. So I don't see that changing, and that's what we that's the message we try to convey to our workforce is we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to grow domestically. We're going to continue to grow offshore. And with the setup we have now, we'll have a little more control. We'll have a little more ability to offer a lower price. It's going to be good for the company. And when it's good for the company, it's good for our workforce. And so I hope everybody has heard that message loud and clear. We've tried to reiterate it multiple times in many ways, in many forms, through town hall meetings, through memos, all sorts of ways, and just answering questions as we walk through the facilities, and people come up and ask us. We have an open door policy. We're not afraid of talking about anything with our workforce. So when they have a concern, we address it, and this is not going to be detrimental to our domestic manufacturing capability. It's only going to supplement it, and we're going to expand product development as needed as we grow. We're going to expand our quality department. We're going to potentially add more capabilities, both domestic and internationally. So it'll be good.
Absolutely. It's fun times. Growth is a great thing, and you've driven a whole lot of it in your time at Polo, and it does not go unappreciated how much you've put your blood, sweat, and effort into this company. So we thank you for all you do. It helps us sell a lot better when we've got all the expertise on your end, and with all the teams that you oversee, and with all the things that you all execute on for our customers ultimately, and their growth and their success. So, Brian, thanks so much for joining me to deep dive the DR today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sean. I just want to state it's definitely a team effort from the newest machine operator all the way up to the CEO, Kent Lammers, and our board of directors, and every department, sales, HR, accounting, IT, supply chain, quality, certainly all the manufacturing. I hope I haven't left anybody out. I'm sure I have, but It's a team effort. There's not we couldn't do what we do without any one person. Everybody's pulling their weight. We're hitting on all cylinders. It's a great time to be part of Polo Custom Products, and the future is bright. And what we're doing in Dominican Republic is exciting, but it's also, I think, will demonstrate to our customers that we are aware of what's going on in the world. We're constantly evaluating what the best thing to do for our customers, and the best way to manufacture our products, and the best way to ensure supply chain resilience and continuity. So if there's a prospective customer out there that's watching this podcast and has been thinking about reaching out to somebody on your sales team to ask about manufacturing sewn, sealed, or thermoformed items, I hope that they feel a little bit more confident in our ability after watching this, and I invite them to come see our plants and interact with our people. And from there, I have no doubt that they will be that will inspire confidence in them, and we'll get that business. Yeah,
party in the DR in December. So.
Absolutely. I remind everybody that if all they know of DR is Punta Cana, it would be like comparing Miami Beach to Pittsburgh. Where we're manufacturing is certainly a nice area, but it's no Punta Cana. But Punta Cana's close by, so I think the weather's always nice down in Dominican Republic.
I think Jen might have said is where we're locating our plant the rum capital of the world, or something like that too.
Well, there is some rum manufacturing actually in the park where we are located. Okay. So I'm not a rum aficionado, but I know spiced rum is very popular down there. Okay. And it wouldn't surprise me if Dominican Republic plays a big role in that. I will tell you this, that historically, the industry that really drove a lot of the growth in Dominican Republic over decades has been the tobacco industry, and I'm not a cigar connoisseur, but I understand some of the best cigars in the world are made in Dominican Republic, and I saw a lot of those manufacturing plants in my tour of the country over the last 15 months. But medtech is the fastest growing down there, and as well as electronics and textiles. So three things that are very synergistic with our products and our capabilities. And while I don't think we'll need a lot of rum or tobacco leaves in our process, those are certainly things to enjoy after a hard day's work and a meeting with customers over a nice steak dinner. So
when in Rome,
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Brian. This was a lot of fun and very exciting stuff. So we appreciate everybody that tuned in and listened to the podcast today. Like, comment, subscribe, and tune in the future. We appreciate you listening this far in. Thanks, Brian.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sean.